Hey guys, it is Carl Brown for GuitarLessons365.com. I have got a banger today. We're going to learn how to do a new level by the great Pantera. The light Dimebag is killer on this track. Killer riffs, killer rhythms, and an amazing solo. So we're going to take a look at all of it today. Before I get into it, please subscribe to the channel. Click that, ring that little notification bell. And when you see a video of mine pop up, how about responding to it? Click on it, watch it a little bit. It really helps. Let your cat watch it for a bit. That's all it takes. Just give me some time. And even if it's a song you hate, that really helps the channel grow and YouTube push it out to more people. And then you will also get all of my notifications. So hopefully I'll hit a few songs you like at least. And if you really want to support what I do here on YouTube, you're gonna see a link in the description. It's a link to my Guitar Academy. You're gonna get a free 7-day trial by clicking that link. Now, my Guitar Academy contains all my courses. One subscription gives you full access to all the courses across all app platforms. So just one subscription, all platforms from the mobile, Apple Mobile and Android to the Roku and Amazon Fire TV, Apple TV, Android TVs, all across all major app platforms. But one subscription, full access to everything. And all the courses as well. And I go live every Saturday there with just Academy members, so it's a really fun time, a great community. So come and join us. Free 7-day trial by clicking that link below. All right, so let's click into it. Now, first I gotta talk about the tuning here. You can kind of just summarize this as this is in D standard, but as Dimebag did a lot is he didn't generally tune to like a standard Hertz that you did like what they call concert pitch, which is A440, where you have an A on the guitar or whatever, like a tuning fork or whatever, and it vibrates at 440. Now, he tuned it down further. So on this album, now what he tuned it down to actually changed depending on the album. So I know a lot of times when I do a Pantera lesson, we get into Hertz wars in the comments or whatever, but I believe on this album, on Vulgar Display of Power, he's tuned to like 425 Hz. So it's not the full concert pitch 440, it's down to 425. So it's gonna sound like D standard, but another quarter of a step lower than that, really. Now, it's basically just a tuner setting. So you can, if you have a tuner that you can adjust the Hertz, they typically are at 440. If you can lower it all the way down to 425, and then just tune to D standard, it's gonna lock in with it. Now, if you don't have a tuner to do that, you're probably gonna have to kind of just do it by ear. But that's what's going on here. That's why. But I'm gonna be teaching this in D standard, make it easy. So we're just in D standard, whole guitar down a whole step. You can deal with the Hertz, do the Hertz words yourself. I'm not gonna get into it. So anyway, so we're gonna start with this intro, which starts with kind of like a pick. He's just kind of taking the edge of his pick and he's bouncing it across, like kind of the treble, kind of the treble strings, a little bit on the D string. And just kind of dancing down the string. All right, and then we go into that main riff, which is killer. So when the muting kicks in there, it's so fun to play with. A lot of people, if you don't know a lot about, if you're learning this song, you probably know a little bit of guitar. You know I'm just palm muting that makes it change the sound there. It's not like a new pedal or new effect I'm adding. It's all coming from the hands. So we'll talk about that. All right, so the riff itself is just straight power chords and a kind of a chromatic lick, chromatic line. So we're gonna start with the open E power chord. Okay, I'm gonna call it open E. I'm gonna call the strings as if they're standard tune strings, not their detuned names, because I'm not smart enough to do that. So we're just gonna look at it as a standard tune guitar. We know we're tuned down a whole step though. So E, power chord, then the F power chord at the first fret of the low E. So it basically goes up one fret higher each time. So the first time we just go 0, 1, 2, and then just move the power chord up to the second fret. So the first time you see it, and then it does it again, but this time go all the way up to 3. then it does it again, all the way up to 4. So this. And then you're gonna jump over here to the first fret off the A string, the B flat power chord. And you hit that 4 times without any kind of muting or anything on it. So it is. And then that's the full riff. You just repeat that 4 times without any muting, and then 4 times heavily palm muted. But every single time you play the B flat, that part of the riff, even when you're doing heavy muting, won't be, there's no muting on that. So it's just kind of like this. So it's just 4 times like that. And then after 4 times, mute it. Except for that. So if you, palm muting, I'm just lightly bringing the back of my palm down to the, right where the string meets the bridge. So it changes from this to this. And I'm not muting the B flat. Now, so he plays it kind of muted 4 times. The first 2 times on the second half of it when it's muted, the first 2 times are really heavily muted. Then this 3rd and 4th time, he starts letting up on the muting again. So it's not like, it doesn't let it ring straight out, but it's like, so it's kind of like not, it's more like, so you start here and he starts letting off the mutes a little bit the 3rd and 4th time. And then that brings us to this little riff to here. All right, so that's a fun one. So it starts getting to kind of the main rhythm of the song, which is during the verse sections, which is this little. Now the rhythm's different. This is the very first time here. This is the only time you play it like this, and the rest of the song, it's going to be slightly different, which we'll talk about when we get to the verse. So, or we'll actually talk about in a second before the verse. So we're going to start here with this. So it's kind of the rhythm itself is played like down, 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 up, and then another down, 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 up. But the second 2 down, 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 ups are on more of the upbeat. So it's like, so you can see like dun, 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 dun. So it's kind of, it's a different feel, the second group of 2, even though it's played the same, it's felt a lot differently. So downbeats, then ups. So we have this. So I'm still going down, 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 up. So now that much is going to be the same as the verse, but here, just in this intro, we come in here, we hit this chord right here, the first fret off the A and the D together, and then come back to start everything over with the E power chord. So I have this. So I'm kind of starting to riff with that power chord. That's kind of part of the first down, down, down. And then they kind of stop there, and then they go to the full rhythm. And that takes us to the verse. So that rhythm is just kind of first based off of this E power chord. So it's the same rhythm that we just did, except instead of just one hit there on that chord there, we're gonna do a quick little down up again. So it's like this. We have down, 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 up, down, 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 up, down. So that's the full rhythm now. So that you remember that last little down up wasn't there before. It was just a down on this chord. But now we're gonna replace that. We're not playing any chords, we're just continuing on the low E string. So it's got down, 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 up, down, 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 up, down, up. And that's the full rhythm. And then it just repeats that. So in the fourth time through, kind of halfway through the fourth time through of doing that rhythm, he slides up to the 12th fret and kind of just tremolo picks it a little bit. And then back to the rhythm. So another 4 times of playing that rhythm, and you're going to end it on this E power chord. And then these little transition chords, this little minor third chords that kind of transition us back to this F, which is what they moved up to for the verse. And those 2 chords, so after you hit the E power chord, this is right before the verse starts. It's the 4th fret there on the low E, the 2nd fret on the A. And then take it down to this 1st fret. Same chord, just. And then that takes us to the verse. Now the verse, we're now going to take it up to F. It looks like this. And then to the chorus. All right, so it's pretty much the same rhythm we did before, but now we're holding this 1st fret power chord. So it's that same rhythm, the full rhythm, done 4 times. And during the 4th time, he's going to take this up an octave. Remember before we did it all the way to the 12th? It goes up to the 13 now, the octave up. And then back to 4 more times on rhythm. And then once again, we're going to hit this F power chord. And then those same 2 chords that we did to transition, we're going to do those again. And then we're going to do the second half of the verse. The second half of the verse is almost identical to the first half of the verse, except instead of playing each riff 4 times, you can play each riff twice. So it's kind of, you're still gonna do that slide in between too. So it's like. So it's kind of like the full verse is that rhythm on the F chord played 4 times. Then you do the slide up to the 13 with a little tremolo picking, and then back to 4 more times on that same rhythm on the F chord. And then we had that little, and then that takes us to the second half of the verse, which is that same rhythm on the F, but now just played twice, then the slide, and then 2 more times as well. And that'll give us the whole verse. So it's like 4, slide, 4, 2, slide, and then of course those little chords in between, right? So 4, slide, 4, and then you have those 3 chords, then 2, slide, 2, all right? Hope you understand that. And then we get to the chorus, which is just like the intro without the muted section. Now coming out of that first chorus, we basically have that rhythm. Basically done 2.5 times. We're gonna do it 2 times in full on the E chord. And then the 3rd time through. And then it kind of slides up to that 12th fret. And then we go to, that takes us straight to the verse. So the second verse is exactly like the first verse. And then the second chorus is exactly like the first chorus. So there's nothing new there. So we just have another verse chorus thing that goes through. And then we have the bridge section. So coming out of that second chorus, we have this. All right, so I added a wah pedal there, as he does, as Dime did, but I'll show it to you without the wah. So we're gonna start with this. So first, you're gonna hit that, it's coming out of that, kind of comes straight out with the E, and then he does a quick little. So that's a quick little muted hit on the first fret power chord of the F. Then back to the open E again, let it ring. And one time with that. So the first time you hear it, you just hear the open E. Then you hear the F to E's twice. And then a little wah riff starts, which is the riff for the bridge. And that riff is, you're gonna hit the open low E string. Then you're gonna slide from 1 to 3. Now I'm using my ring finger for this. So from 1 to 3 on the low E string, over to the first fret on the A. Then back over to the low E string, 3rd fret, slide up to 5, over to 3 on the A. And then you're gonna go back to the 5 on the low E, and slide 5 to 6. So remember, we're gonna start with the open E, and then after you slide to that 6, that's gonna be 4 on the A, then 6, 5 on the low E string, and then a kind of a bend and release on the 3rd fret of the 8th. So, and then the band comes in with it. Same riff. All right, then we hear kind of this, you hear that riff kick in real quick, leading us into the solo. So the solo has wah on it as well. So let me play through the solo for you real quick, and then I'll show you to play it. As close as we can get, at least, to how Dime played it. So here we go. All right, so that one is just classic Dimebag and just absolutely killer. So Dime was one of those players. So most players have something they specialize in. Like they're really good at like strict alternate picking, and they're really good at like economy picking, or they've got really cool like seamless like legato-y type picking, half legato-y chops. The thing that was really amazing about Dime, he was good at all of it. So his solos have all of this stuff in it. And it's just seamless. It's just like off the cuff, like he can play it completely blissed out of his mind. But so we're gonna start the solo with some really kind of like cross string picking, which is pretty challenging. And then it works its way into a legato lick, or like a tremolo picking thing, and then to a crazy legato lick that you're not gonna get note for note. He's one of those players. He was kind of like Eddie, where he can really kind of do like a feel thing. It's really legato based. Some pick strokes in there. We'll talk a little bit about how to make it sound like it, but it's just kind of really more of an intuitive way of playing it, and just kind of like a legato bass lick that he does. You can track the scales and where he goes with it, but getting it all note for note is gonna be really challenging. So I'm not gonna worry too much about it. So I'm gonna start with this first race. So that's gonna start with a hammer from 10 to 12 on the low E string. And then we have this. So now this is palm muted. It's crossing strings very, very quick there. So this little lick is, so that's, you're gonna start adding the palm muting after this. You're gonna pick 12 on the low E, 10 on the A, back to the 12 on the low E string, roll over to the 12 on the A, back to that 12 on the low E, so it's kind of going back and forth. So that's kind of hard to pick across strings that fast. And then it goes from that 12 on the low E again, back to the 10 on the A. And then hammer on to the 12 and slide up to 14. So you're gonna slightly pause on this note. It's not a long pause, it's just like it's kind of held twice as long as the other. And then we have that next lick. So after you slide here, it does some more of that cross string picking. So that goes 12, upstroke 12 on the D, over back to that 14 on the A, roll over to the 14 on the D, back to the 14 on the A, and then back to the 12 on the D, and then you're gonna hammer on 13, 14. So, and then from here, and then from here, it kind of start, there's another little, if you get to that hammer on the 14, you're gonna little slight pause again. And then you're gonna kind of start that cross string picking again, that 12 on the G, the 14 on the D, to 14 on the G, back to 14 on the D. And then back to that 12 on the G. And then we get to kind of, really it's a different set of licks. So this is a similar lick that's done 3 times, just taken through the scale. So. And then when we get here, so that right there is, it's got a really, you know, it was a kind of violent, how he's really getting really aggressive with it. So this kind of quick bend and release of the 14th on the, when you get to that 14 here, it's a quick bend and release. So when you do that quick bend and release, pull off to 12, and then you're gonna do that little cross string picking it, which is 14 on the D, 14 on the G, back to the 14 on the D. And then back to the 12 on the G. So that's the lick. And then you kind of hammer on the 14 and start it over. So we have this. So you do it twice, and then you just have, and then that's a kind of quick bend and release. Pull off to 12 on the G, and then quick bend and release at the 15th fret on the B. Pull off to 12, and then kind of a slow, kind of step and a half bend at the 15th fret on the high E string. So this. All right, now here we get to kind of, it's a little bit of a tremolo picked thing. It looks like this. And then it gets into this crazy legato lick. So this tremolo picking is pretty easy. So you can play this, however, the easiest way for me to play this, I think is pretty similar to this. You can play 17. You're gonna pick that like 3 times and then play 15, 12. Now I'm not kind of really worried about, I'm kind of hearing a melody. I'm not really worried about how many notes, how many times I'm picking each note there. The top note's picked a little bit more, but it's kind of just get the tremolo picking going and just get it. Kind of like that. So I'm just kind of the 17 holding that and then going down to 15, 12, and then 18 up top, then 15. So we have this. I mean, if you think about it, these are probably just hitting once each, but it's the top notes being hit. So 17, then to 18 up top, and then 17, and then 18. And then it goes back to 17, so we have this. Yeah, then we get to this crazy legato lick, which is kind of, like I said, this is one of those things where we can trace down the scale that he's doing, the notes that he's playing, and get similar to the licks that he's doing, but it's kind of one of those things where you just have some comfortable legato licks that you like. And that's what he's doing. He's just taking some common legato licks that he is and just kind of intuitively taking them across the scale. And when you saw Dine play live, he was able to recreate his solos pretty accurately. And he kind of had that style a lot, where the legato runs at least would be kind of that, sound very similar to the album, but that kind of thing is really impossible to get note for note. I don't care who the player is. It's just really difficult to get exactly like, so he's really going off the cuff here. He's keeping the same notes and the same feel and the same vibe and the same types of licks but they're not gonna, it's not gonna be exactly note for note. So what he does, he starts with, after he starts this, you can start this top one like that, which is just kind of a pull off of threes. So 17, pull off to 15, and then 12. You can, wherever fingers you feel comfortable. And then he does a pull off of 3. And then you're going to pull off another 3, starting on the next note down. So 15, pull off to 12 on the high E. And then the same note there, but played over on the B string. And then back to the 12 on the high E. So that's the same note played 3 times in a row. So it's really deceiving sounding to the ear. And then pull off 17, 15, 12 on the B. So either so the first note of each one of those, the top note, then pull off, and then next note. So I'm just picking 3 notes. This one, then this one, and then this one. And then he takes everything back here. Kind of like a blues scale type. You can look at it as a blues scale, but it's really kind of almost like a Dorian type blues. Really, what he's thinking when he's doing these types of things, he's thinking symmetrical. So he's just thinking using the same frets on each string, which is the 12, 14, 15. He got that from Eddie. So that's where that comes from. And so he's just taking, it's basically these notes, 15, 14, 12 on each of the top 3 strings. And he just does some common legato licks. He starts that half, he does it, and then come back. He's just kind of working his way down that. And you can just kind of do whatever you want. And that's all I'm doing. And then as you get to this G string, kind of go down to a quick little trill between 11 and 12, and then 9, 11. Then come down to 7, 9. So it's kind of like this. He kind of does it, and he holds that, and he does a quick pull off to that 7 again. So it's just kind of like that. So it's like, don't overthink it. Don't try to get this thing like completely note for note, because he didn't really care about that stuff anyway. He was really going for that kind of crazy, chaotic sound, and that's what he's doing. He's just eyeballing the same kind of symmetrical lick across, and just kind of just having fun, kind of legato way, maybe picking a note here or there when the first note on each new string or something like that. Kind of one of those things. All right, and then from there we have this. So some more big bends, huge vibrato. So we're gonna slide up here first to the 16th fret on the G, and then 15 over on the B, hammer on 17, and a 1.5 bend with some heavy vibrato. And then you're gonna just kind of hammer 15 to 17 again, back to the bend. And you can slightly increase the size of the bend each time, really building the intensity, but a lot of vibrato at the top of each bend. So like that, just kind of build up tension. And then we have this alternate pick lick. So that right there is going to be 15 on the B, 17, 18, 19. Then over to 15 on the high E string. And then come back down, 19, 18, 17, and just repeat. And when you get the third time back down here to this 15 on the B, go up here. It's kind of a whole step bend at the 20th fret on the high E string, and then play 20 without the bend, and then 18. All right, and then we have this really cool little descending thing. So that's going to be a bend and release at the 17th fret on the high E string, pull off to 15, over to 17 on the B, pull off to 15, and then bend and release that 15. Actually, I picked that note. Sorry. So then you play 16 on the G, bend and release the 14 on the G, and slide down to 12. So this. Then you can pick 14 on the D, then do a bend and release there. So, sorry. You just kind of pick that, as soon as you get to the 14 on the D, do a quick bend and release, pull off to 12, then 14 on the A, pull off to 12, and then a bend and release there. So we had this. And then you're going to end the solo with this. So that starts with, now the high E string is ringing with all these notes. The melody note is happening on the B string. So sliding from 3 to 5 on the B. So when you do that, you're hitting 2 strings. The B string, of course, but the high E string is ringing with it. And then you move the note up on the B string up to the 7th fret, and then slightly start bending it so it's a half step higher. And then the same thing here at the 12th fret. And then release that bend. You get that high E still, ring with it. So it's kind of tremolo picking across. And you kind of let that ring out a little bit. And you start hearing the kind of a really kind of really subdued version of that main riff, that main rhythm on the open E there. And then it kind of goes into that 12th fret there. It kind of stops and then kind of does a quick little at the 12th fret. And then back to the chorus. So this is like the beginning when we should go into the mutes. Right here. All right, so after that chorus, so it's kind of an extended chorus. It's just like the beginning of the song. And then we have this little out riff, which is something they haven't played yet in the song. A little bit different rhythm, and it's pretty much done on like a really heavy. So it's really done on this kind of really heavily muted strings. And the rhythm itself is like down, 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 up. So it starts that way. And then for the rest of it, so it starts with a down, 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 up. And then it's just gonna go down, 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 up, down, 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 up, down, 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 up. So it's just down, 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 up the rest of the way. So this start with 3 downs, and then the rest of them are just 2 downs. And at the very end, you hear some, let up the music, you hear some harmonics there, kind of around the 2.5 fret. And it's quick little down up on the open E. So it is. Something like that. All right, hope you guys enjoyed it. It is a killer song. It just grooves, it rocks, it's got a killer solo. So as soon as you can figure out the tuning, you're good to go. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you again soon for GuitarLessons365.com.